We're
I'm
going
trying to figure
live.
out who are Brian and Bill Boper supposed to be on?
There are chat members.
The-
We can,
I mean, they're going to be on the live with us?
no, not on video.
Why do I hear water?
Maybe Dennis, did you send him the link to this or did you send him the link to YouTube?
I
Um,
sent them the link to this because Brent told me to put it in the chat.
oh, you put the Zoom in the chat?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to
No,
put the
no, no,
link.
no.
We need to put
Okay.
the
Only the
YouTube.
people only the people are going to be on live with us, like on the video. That's why I didn't know if anyone else is going to be joining.
I'm sending them to the Pyke YouTube channel.
Yeah. There's all
Uh,
sorts of people. There's all sorts of people trying to join.
got it.
All right. I don't know how to block it so more people can't, but all right. Well, we are live. So I'm gonna throw this up on our Facebook page real quick.
Oh, thank you, Dave. I was just going to try to do that, and it's beyond my capabilities.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think it'll let me redo the chat on the old one. I'm trying to figure it out and it's not doing that. Uh,
I don't think everyone's made it over here yet. We only got 4 people on.
okay. On the YouTube channel?
Yeah, on Pikes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna drop a here's I just put the link to the live in the chat there.
Okay, good.
People are clicking on the other link thinking that's going to take them there, not they're can you delete the one you did that on yours that has the Zoom link?
Yeah, let me go back to it.
Yeah, delete that because people are clicking that thinking it's going to take them to the all right, and lock the meeting.
I'll get on Facebook and make a note real quick. All right. People starting to jump on yet?
uh yeah, we got a few now. Yeah, they're starting to come in. So
All right.
you guys can go ahead and start. I'm gonna figure out how to see if I can minimize myself in this.
You're good, Dave. You can moderate
Okay.
Right.
since you saved the day.
I don't have a drink. All right, you guys, yeah, we got 20
We're
people
good?
on now. So yeah, they're
All
starting to
right, we
filter
got,
in here now. They're picking up on us.
Right on. Well,
all
thank you,
right,
Dave, for jumping on,
all
and
right.
Yep. I'm gonna grab myself some water and I'll be right back.
sounds
Okay,
good.
thanks. All right, so everyone, welcome to YouTube Live with Aspen Thicket with the day saved by Dave Feldman and the Pike Gear YouTube channel. Um, I have no idea what happened on my end with the YouTube channel, but thank God he saved the day. And as I'm thinking about it now, I think I need to use a separate streaming program and then add that to the YouTube channel. So we'll have that figured out for next time. But welcome, welcome to the channel tonight. This is our inaugural YouTube Live with Aspen Thicket. As we get started, I would like to thank partners that we have that participate with Brent and myself and our little Upland collective. And that would be, of course, first and foremost, Pike Gear, Field Armor, Collar Clinic, Cato Outdoors, Michigan Upland Experience, Second Chance Bird Dogs, Upland Habitat Conservancy, Nicole Naturals Taxidermy, Lazy Eight Outfitters, and BDM Gun Dogs. And as we come to you tonight, the purpose of us going YouTube live from here forward, maybe once a month or so, or every couple of weeks, is that we can network and kind of grow grouse hunting. We need to provide opportunities for those both new and old to the sport to get together and talk more than kind of bantering with each other on Facebook. And I firmly believe that our sport, even though it doesn't look like it when you go grouse hunting, statistics will show you that small game hunting in general is in a mass decline, and grouse hunting is also in a decline. Now, we could be selfish and say we want that all for ourselves, but those of us who have kids and maybe younger kids, older kids, whatever, like to enjoy hunting with the family, I think we're seeing growing encroachments from other outdoor activities into what we love doing. And it would be appropriate for us to be the new mentors of the sport, and we're going to try and do that for this YouTube channel. So we do have the chat will be active on that on the Pike Gear page, and we are looking for question and answer participation. We as we move forward with this, we're going to try to have guests willing to share their knowledge, as well as had good conversation about the sport we all love, the dogs we love, the great hunts we've had, and even some of those more off-color stories a little bit about times that we wish went better. But that's why we do it, for the love of the sport. And tonight, I am starting with Brent Pyke. He is the owner and CEO of Pike Gear and a very experienced upland bird hunter. So, Brent, I'd like to start it out by turning it over to you for a little bit. You could tell us about yourself, your background, and how you got to be such an experienced bird hunter. Where did it all start for you?
Well, it's interesting. As a kid, I didn't do a ton of bird hunting. I did some rabbit hunting, particularly on Beaver Island. We would go up there over Christmas time and chase beagles for snowshoe hares. And for me, it was always more thrilling to have a rough grouse flush than it was to shoot a rabbit. I had an old Ivor Johnson single shot that, the old hammer gun. I mean, scared the living bejeebers out of me to load that or to shoot that gun and to unload it, because you had to, pull the trigger and release the hammer to decock it. And that was really kind of my first, like, wow, this is more cool than my cousin did not have the greatest beagles in the world either. So we spent more time
Right.
chasing dogs than we did chasing bunnies. Um, but it was fun, and that was just kind of, I just kind of got enamored with it at a young age. I never did a whole lot of it. I went through college, and high school I was really busy with sports, and I did a little duck hunting, but never really did any grouse hunting per se, in high school or college. And when I graduated college, I worked my way through college working in a ski shop, selling skis and alpine skis, cross country skis, backpacking gear, all that good stuff. So Graduated college, worked for Oakley Sunglasses for some time, and then got a job in pharmaceutical sales. And one of my first endeavors out was going to a pheasant preserve with some doctors. And that's the first time I'd ever seen a dog, point a bird before. And I was just like, it was like crack cocaine to me. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
I saw that and I'm like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I had a dog ordered within a month, picked it up about 4 months later. And, so that was like 2022, or excuse me, 2002. And it's just been kind of a passion of mine. I mean, I'm kind of one of those guys that when I jump into something, I jump in with both feet, and I just, when I first started, I didn't really know anything. I went to a lot of pheasant preserves, and I had a few spots where I went steelhead fishing that I knew were some grouse rat, and I'd go up there and, shoot at them.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you know, the dogs didn't really know. I mean, the dog was a puppy at that point, didn't really know what it was doing, and all that good stuff. And then, I met a couple older guys at a gun club that were pretty avid grouse hunters. And those guys kind of took me under their wings, and they taught me a lot of stuff. And, I mean, it's one of those things. Once you learn, it's the old adage, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man how to fish, he'll eat for a
Yeah.
lifetime. And once you
Yeah.
kind of learned, what you're looking for, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easier. I mean, you start to see the trees amongst the forest, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
And
And what, just if I could interject for a minute, what you just said is really important for the adult onset and the new people coming into the sport. It doesn't have to be perfect, man. Like some of the best hunts I ever had, and I'm sure you'll vouch for this too. Some of the most fun we've ever had. Just if I can interject for a minute, what you just said. There was no pressure put on us whatsoever because we had whoever's dog. First dog I ever had for grouse hunting was an Australian Shepherd, by the way. A stoner friend of mine in college, they all had Frisbees and Australian Shepherds, and he let me take his Australian Shepherd grouse hunting because he knew I was a grouse hunter, and he thought, oh, take that dog, and I took that dog, and the dog actually I taught it to flush grouse, and I had a lot of fun with it. But I mean, don't put so much pressure on yourself, and that's the big message that I can give the people that are coming into this sport. They feel so intimidated because social media just sucks when it comes to this sport, right? Everybody's got the best dog in the world, and Sir, Jameson the third of England or whatever, here he is on point, and all of this stuff that you and I know that's cool, that's part of it. I do some of that, you do some of that. But the reality is, man, you can, when you get to the level like we're at, you can put way too much pressure on yourself. And there gets to be a point where you're in the middle of a hunt, you're like, man, this isn't a lot of fun because I'm putting too much pressure on myself. And the good days we had were when we didn't know shit. And so to the new people coming into this sport, this is exactly the message that we want to convey to you is come try it out and don't matter. I mean, for the reality of it is grouse are tough. Everybody sucks at it. They lie on social media, and you just go out there and have fun and pull the trigger, right?
right. And to your point, you're a competitive guy. I'm a competitive guy. I mean, I want to be successful in everything I do in life. And when I first started out, it was just always about, how many birds can I stack on the tailgate? And I had some buddies that were far more accomplished grouse hunters than I were, and they were, stacking a lot more than I was. And it kind of got to me a little bit, and those guys, it wasn't them putting pressure on me or by any. I mean, it was just, it's just me saying, boy, I got to up my game. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to up your game, but when you start to put pressure on yourself to kill more birds, that's just dumb. I mean, it's not what it's all about. I mean, what it's all about is getting out there. And for me at this point, I mean, dogs are up there, but I'm pretty blessed with a solid group of buddies that we travel the country together. And we,
Mhm.
if you can't make it to one spot, they're at the next. And we've hunted Arizona, Montana, Oklahoma, Kansas, North Dakota, South Dakota, Michigan. I mean, we just go all over the place, and it just, to me, the camaraderie of bird hunting is the utmost importance. I mean, if I
Yeah.
didn't have those buddies, would I still do it? Absolutely. I mean, I love going out with my dogs, and I enjoy my hunts by myself sometimes too. I mean, I really do. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there's nothing better than getting done hunting. You walk your butt off all day long, and even if you don't bag a bird, to sit at the tailgate with your buddies and crack a beer and tell some stories about how the dogs worked, and
Yeah,
that's.
well, it comes down to tradition and culture, right? And that is really what this is all about. And part of the message to the newer hunters is we do need you in this hunting culture. There's a lot of other interests out there nowadays, and really the camaraderie and the brotherhood, the sisterhood, whatever it may be, it's something that you really need to experience. One of the questions that I had for you ahead of time, and I know you covered it when you told me when you went on that preserve hunt and then bought a dog later on. But what ultimately drives you when you're hunting with a dog? Because like I know what it is for me. Like what's your aha moment every time you're out hunting with a dog?
Just seeing that dog work, and walking in and seeing a dog that's just stacked up on point is, I don't know, it's there's nothing better. I mean, that's
Oh,
my dogs run pretty good, so I don't see them too often. Even on the prairies, a lot of times they're on another edge of the field, or down in the thicket
hmm.
or coulee or whatnot. And when you get that alarm, I see you're wearing a Garmin watch. I wear a Garmin watch, and that watch buzzes. It's like, oh boy,
Yeah,
it's
let's go.
it's it's pretty exciting. I mean, that, and that's super exciting to me. But one of the more exciting things is, and this, you got young boys, is watching my son kind of become his own man when it comes to hunting as well. I mean, I started taking out when he
Yeah,
was 4 years old with a BB gun, and I think he shot his first grouse at like 7 or 8. Might
right.
not even been legal in Michigan at the time, but I had a little 28 gauge that I had the stock sawed off on for him, and he limb swatted it. But hey, we'll give young kids a dog was pointing it, and he got his first
Yeah.
grouse
I
that way.
mean,
It was pretty cool.
He's
so
become a
many.
fine wing shooter now. No, there's no worries.
Yes.
Right, right.
For sure.
Well, the thing is too, like you said, those aha moments, they happen almost every hunt. Like, when you get that, and we're going to get into puppy development here, but man, the first time you come around and that pup is stacked up on a grouse, man, and you take a look at it, and like I'm the guy now that I take more pictures than pull the trigger. And like, because people ask me all the time, like, your Uncle Grouse, man, you must kill 100 grouse a year. And I'm like, nah. No, I like my camera too much, man. I get too wrapped up in those. You walk up in that dog, and its nostrils are flaring, and it's sucking in that scent, and it's got all that intensity, all of that 100 years of breeding. That particular breed of the dog is like right there in that thing, and it's tense and it's terse and it wants to go, and every fiber of its being is just focused on that bird. That is just, it's still magic to me. I don't care what anybody says, and it doesn't have to be a puppy. It could be a 5-year-old dog. It could be the 14-year-old dog on the last hunt. When they are stacked up on point and they have that intensity, that's still magic to me, because it's scent. It's something that we can't see. And that is just, it's magic. And I always tell people, like, when that no longer excites me, then I'm probably dead, right? You need to just go ahead and make the arrangements at the veteran cemetery, because that's really what I like doing it. And the thing with the kids is even more special, man. Like I never understood that until I had my own kids. And then my oldest son, I think he shot his first grouse pointed on the wing when he's like 10 years old, a little bantam pump gun. And it was really a weird moment, because I wanted to be super excited, but Evan, right? Evan's just like, he's so calm and just like everything's supposed to happen that way. It was like he shot the bird, Scout brought it back, and he started putting in his game bag. I'm like, well, we need a picture and everything like that. He's like, well, aren't we going to hunt more? I'm just like, okay, yeah. But it's a really good moment. It's just like when you have kids and the first time they read to you and stuff like that.
Yep.
So we're going to talk puppy development tonight. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your the new puppy you have with all those hopes and dreams?
I'll have my wife or my daughter bring her in here in a little bit. She's taking a little nap right now. She's been running. She was at the office all day today with me, and so yeah. So I mean, I'm kind of on a schedule. About every 4 years, I get a new dog, and it's not always the best time, to get a dog. But I've just kind of found that for me, that's what I need to have, and for me to be able to develop puppies the way I want to. I mean, we talked about that early on when you first start. You get that puppy and you want to get them gun broke at 3 months of age. You want to get them collar conditioned at 4 months of age. You want to be steady to wing and shot by the time they're 6 months of age. You want to be killing piles of birds over by the time they're 8 months of age. And
Right.
and we've all been there. And so for any new people that are out there, and that's your hopes and dreams, just check that a little bit. I mean, they're puppies. They're literally, they're little
Yeah.
babies. And I've the last 4 dogs I've had, I've been far less pressure oriented with them, and I think it's paying off. I mean, my and some dogs can handle more pressure at age 1 than other dogs can. I mean, my Penny dog, she just turned 4. She was not. I mean, she was fine in birds, so I knew she had it in her, but she was just really immature, around the house even. I mean, just a super sweet dog, but just, I'm reading the dog and she just was not ready to be finished off yet. And, we finally last fall, I kind of saw, all right, she knows what she's doing wrong here. And it's time to put a little pressure on her. And it literally took 10 days from there to get her broke out. And, I mean, and don't look at 10 days. I mean, it was 3 years and 10 days. I mean, it was, she had a lot of time, she had a lot of chance to, bump and chase wild birds and bump and chase pigeons. And, and she had the game preserve stuff down at the dog trainers and all that stuff. But, I just kind of saw, all right, she knows that she enjoys watching these dogs. She really enjoys watching these birds fly too much and like chasing. So going back to the puppy thing, I'm digressing here a little bit. Be patient with your puppies is I guess what I would tell people is,
Yeah.
they're going to get, I mean, she pointed, I killed a pointed rough grouse over her at 4 months of age. I mean, and she didn't really point many after that for another year or two, and then,
That's right.
so, I mean, and it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. I'm lucky that I had, 3 other dogs that were still serviceable and can, I wasn't relying on her to get the birds for me. I mean, but I was giving her a lot of the A spots and things like that. And that's the biggest thing I would tell people is you just be patient with the dogs. I mean, they'll tell you when they're ready for the next step.
I 100% agree with you. We've been friends for a long time, and my formula is genetics, exposure, and patience. That's really what it comes down to. And I had a great mentor, Bob Ross. I don't even he might be on this. I mean, he's still going. He's still training dogs, and I think he's got to be 80, somewhere around 80 years old right now, 81. Still going with dogs. And the benefit of having a mentor that was from the real old school was that he was the guy that always told me, look, son, don't rush this. In the old days, how we used to train dogs? We took them hunting. And that's what they did. Back in the old days, they had dogs and they would take them hunting and they would hunt break them. Now, of course, there were more birds then, so on and so forth. But the reality is, you buy a dog from, a proven kennel with a good pedigree behind it. Make sure you go hunt the parents, see the parents, make sure they're the type of dog that you want, that you can handle. And get that puppy and expose it to everything. Socialization is really big. I mean, you take that dog to the supermarket, you take it wherever you want to go and expose it to all those things. When we have a litter of pups here, before they even go home with folks, we're blessed with the property of the grouse woods right here on our property. We take them out in the grouse woods. I mean, they get all of that stuff, of all of that exposure. And that's really important at an early age, because I know we do have a lot of experienced dog people in the chat that will tell you about the imprinting periods of a puppy. And that could be a whole nother discussion that we could talk about, dog genetics and imprinting and things like that. But exposure is really important. Exposure to water, exposure to birds, all of those things. And then you have to have patience, because every dog is different. They're just like kids. Some of them, they can read right away, they can walk right away, stuff like that. Well, when it comes to dogs, I've had dogs. I've got one right now, a drummer. He came out of his mother on point. The dog was 16 weeks old between Christmas and New Year's. We went on a grouse hunt, and he pointed 3 to 5 grouse and held while I walked around him and missed 3 grouse over the dog. I mean, and he hasn't looked back. And there are dogs that are like that. But the majority of the dogs you have to be extremely patient with, because like you said, they're puppies, right? They want to grab ass. They don't mature at the same rate as others. Sometimes females mature quicker than males. Males mature quicker than females. And then within a particular litter of puppies, that can all be different too. A good breeder is going to give you a puppy that's generally within this box, but within that box, there's 10 little individual boxes of those 10 puppies, right? And they're all going to mature at different rates, but they're, in a general sense, they're going to be close to one another. And you just have to take the time to be patient with it. And a lot of people forget, we have these dogs. If you exercise them, you feed them right, you don't give them table scraps a lot, and they're healthy, these dogs are going to live to be 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. And for the most part, every dog I've had has hunted until they were at least 11 years old. Some of them 12. The retired house dog now, he's 15 and a half. He hunted till he was 13. So you have a long time. So if you're willing to just have the patience the first 18 months of the dog's life as a general time frame, you're still going to get 10 good years out of that dog. That's really important to remember.
I agree. That's, like you said, I mean, it's not that they're not going to be out hunting. They're just don't expect a lot out of them. I don't expect my 4-year-old, when they were, I mean, my kids are all grown beyond that now, but when they were 4 years old, I don't expect them to know everything. I mean, same with puppies, they learn from their mistakes, and it's not that you don't correct them, but you can't be heavy-handed with them young dogs. I mean, that's my theory on it. I mean, I know there's a lot of guys that can get a lot out of dogs at a young age by, and some dogs can handle that pressure. I mean, there's some good trainers out there that can, get a dog that's, really tough and get them to be at 1.5 years old to act like they're 3 or 4. I'm not that guy. I'm not that good. And quite frankly, I like I said earlier, I've got enough time on my hands that I can be a little patient with it, And
well, and you should be patient. The reality is, like I said, you have a long lifetime with them, and and me doing what I do here, I'm very patient. Except for this puppy drummer, like, he has shown me so much at an early age that I really haven't had to do a lot of training with him, but I am able to go plant birds for him and stuff that you normally wouldn't do with a puppy so young, because he's just like the complete package. But everybody needs to understand that is an anomaly, right? For the most part. And I'm kennel blind. I think I breed really good dogs. I've been doing it for 20 years. And even with the dogs I'm putting out, I tell everybody that buys them from me, they're going to have a lot of natural ability as long as you take the time to let that natural ability come out. If you rush things too much, you're going to end up with a dog that's going to be looking to you for direction. He's going to be looking at you all the time. Where should I hunt now? Because you've overhandled him, you talk to him too much. And then if you've worked too much with him on planted birds and you taught him whoa and you're doing all of that stuff, the dog is going to not have as much as intensity as he normally would, letting it be between the birds and him. That's the key to a training program.
Yep,
it really is.
Yep.
So when we get these puppies home, in a general sense, for people, really what we like to do with them is introduce them to the house, get them housebroken, and you can't love on these puppies enough, man. I'm telling you, you want to build a bond with that pup. And I know a lot of people don't believe in, put the pup on the furniture, all that stuff, whatever. I break all those rules, man. When I get a puppy, it comes into the house, it hangs out with the kids, it hangs out with the wife. When it needs to take a nap, yeah, I might show it the dog bed, but keep in mind, most of my dogs, after 4 months in the house, they go out to the kennel. But when it's time to nap, they're napping in my lap, man, because it's just like kids. They're only little so long. And that goes a long way with pups. So we do a lot of that type of stuff. How about you?
Let me grab here. I'll grab my puppy here.
See a puppy coming.
Good.
There you go.
Let's hear from the people in the. Let's hear from the people. Oh yeah, look at that. And what we got for a name here?
Franny. She's named after my old man who passed away a few years ago. He always thought his name was kind of girly. His name was Francis. So he had a good sense of humor. So he thought, he
awesome.
loved dogs.
That's a great tribute, man. That really is right there. What a beautiful looking pup,
Well, thank you. I break all the rules when we first get a puppy. I mean, I know a lot of guys will cringe about this, but literally, I just can't. I need a good night's sleep. So our puppies, literally, when the day they come home, they sleep in bed with my wife and I for like a week or so, and then they transition to crate, and she's she sleeps within a week. I brought her home at a day short of 8 weeks of age. And within, a week, she was in her crate at night, and she'd sleep 6 to 7 hours at night, no problem. And and I got good night's sleep, and so did my wife. And so that's kind of one of the.
That's so important, but we have to be careful. So one of the things, like, because we have people watching this that probably need a little qualification on that, is this is why it's really important when you buy your puppy from a proven breeder that has a history of dogs that have great social skills, that are biddable, and have a good temperament. If you get a dog from a breeding that doesn't have those things, you could run into problems letting the dog sleep on the bed, letting bring it into your lap and things like that. And then it ends up with Sandy, who's on the chat, and then she has to fix the issues because that dog did not have the temperament to be able to handle that kind of thing. That's why it's extremely important that you understand where you're buying a puppy from, because if they have a great temperament, they will understand their social order in the pack, and letting them sleep in the bed with you and stuff like that is not going to turn the dog into a mean dog that thinks it's better than you. That's going to end up with Sandy, or even worse, end up at Mike's second chance bird dogs, right? And a lot of that, Mike will tell you, that comes a lot from the background breeding. Per se, in the temperament of those dogs. You have to be able to read that dog to do that. But generally speaking, if you get the dog from a very good, well-established kennel that's been around for a while with dogs with good temperaments, you can get away with all of this stuff, and it really helps grow the bond.
Yeah. One of the things the breeder showed me when I picked the puppy up is they would get those puppies, and every day they'd roll them on their back, like this, and they would run a Q-tip between all their toes and just play with their feet. And I mean, this dog, I mean, unbelievable for a puppy just to let you play with her feet like that. And, I trimmed her toenails. I trim her toenails every couple of days just to get her used to doing that.
Yeah.
And she's got no problem with it, even though I nipped one on a little short one time.
Yeah, I did. I did watch that video you had posted the other day, and I was like, man, that is a really well socialized pup with a great temperament, man. And that's an important thing too. So we get these puppies home and we're loving on them and we're doing the basic house obedience. It's important for you to establish some boundaries and kind of establish yourself as a pack leader, but you can
Yep.
do that. You can do that without being an asshole. Like,
Yep.
It's simple things like when you have that puppy, pick it up like Brent's holding it now and put it on its back. And it might wiggle. And if it wiggles, just hold it there until it lets out a sigh. And then when it lets out a sigh, that's him saying, all right, you win. Right. And play with his feet. All the stuff they don't like. And you don't have to do it in a mean way. You just do it nice. And whenever they challenge you on it, you just ignore them and you keep doing it till they stop. And when they stop and when they sigh, you're now training that dog that you are in charge of things, right? And that goes along with going outside, going potty, coming back, right? Don't counter surf, no people food, have the boundaries and stuff like that. And that's really like the first 3-4 months of that puppy being home. That's all I really focus on, man, and I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, my daughter's big into horseback riding, so I brought her to, she's been to, I don't know, 3 or 4 horse shows already, and she gets to walk around and see all the horses, and it doesn't freak her out, and all these kids want to pet her, and I mean, just again, and that's just easy stuff. I mean, that's stuff you don't need to send your dogs to Aspen Thicket grouse dogs to have done. I mean, this is the stuff that, and I'm not a dog trainer. I mean, what I am.
Right.
Is a person who's had a bunch of dogs and been around enough guys like you and Justin McGrail and such to know, all right, there's a lot of things you can do as a dog owner that can set the dog up for success when it goes to you and when it comes back from you. I mean, that's the one thing I've been, this is the time of year I start doing some yard work with my dogs, getting them to walk on leashes again, listens on that, I do a little wool post work with them, little collar work with them and stuff like that, little kennel work. And, one thing I learned last year, I was down quail hunt. I got invited down to a quail hunt down in Georgia on a plantation. And it was a really cool experience. We hunted off horseback and the gentleman that was running the dogs down there, he's, probably a 4th generation dog handler, and he lives right on the plantation. And he would get those dogs out of the kennel, and you could tell he's a little heavy handed with those dogs, but they could handle it.
Sure.
But he brought them dogs to the front of the horses. Whoa. Walk back to the mule wagon, grab the collars, put the collars on the dog, walk back to the mule wagon, got a drink, climbed up on his horse, sat there for a second. All right. He made them dogs stand there for 3 or 4 minutes, before the hunt even started.
Yes.
And just made them realize, all right, who's in charge? Let's have a, I mean, how often have we seen it? We have people that, let dogs out of their crate and they open the crate door and the dog just comes freaking barreling out of there.
Oh, it's a gong show, man. And they're fighting to put the collar on, and they finally get it on, and the dog bolts off, and then the dog goes and hunts for 5 minutes while they're getting their shit on.
For sure.
Yeah. And then they go hunt with the dog, and like that really, that dog is hunting for himself, man.
For sure.
He is 100%.
Sure. And that's one of the things I started doing, that penny dog of mine that just kind of came on last year. And I tell you what, it made a big difference in just, her demeanor. It made her, not be just a puppy around the truck. She, all right, I need to, it's business time. And, she'd stand there while I got all my stuff on. If she moves, I would just, go back and grab her, pick her up and set her back. I mean, you don't have to shake the shit out of them or anything like that. You just pick them up, grab underneath their belt. And dogs don't like to be picked up. They don't like having their feet off the ground.
No, they hate it. They absolutely hate it. That's why you do the force fetch on a table.
Right. Right. So you
Yeah.
pick them up off the ground and they're kind of wiggling and stuff like that. And, you set them back down. Whoa. And once they're collar conditioned, you can hit them with the collar, just give them a little nick on the collar all right, that'll
Right.
slaunch them up too. And I started doing that with even my older dogs last year. And there was a marked difference in their behavior in the field, and just in general. I mean, I'm like, wow, that was one of the best things I learned from a dog trainer.
Right.
And it was just watching. So I mean, for the new guys and old guys, watch some of the other guys out there, because I got a buddy, Mike Carmody. He's really good about setting his dogs up for Mike,
Yeah.
setting his dogs up for success in the field. He doesn't put up with any garbage from his dogs. He does all that type of stuff. They stay in their kennel. He releases them from the kennel. He releases them from the tailgate. Those dogs know who's in charge. And he does a nice job with that. He does all his training on his own, and he always has nice dogs.
He does. He does. And a lot of, what you were talking about in the earlier part was the early condition learning that we do with puppies. And for the people that are with us tonight, if you've never read the Joan Bailey book, she has two books actually. One is How to Help Gun Dogs Help Themselves, which is decent, but there's like a volume 2, and it's by Joan Bailey, and I believe it's called Early Condition Learning. And it is a book that has about 6 or 8 chapters in it. As a matter of fact, I have a copy. I'm going to grab it real quick. So just give me a second.
All right. Dave, you picking up any good stuff here?
Yeah. I'm not the person to talk to about this stuff. And I'm a few years away from a puppy, so I'm with Ryan there. I want a dog that's a little bit older.
And that's the nice thing about that. I mean, you can buy dogs from guys like Dennis, and there's lots of people out there that have dogs that either they buy them for and to get them trained to go that level, or it's a field trial dog that like Tango, that's just it doesn't run enough, or their tails are not perfect or something like that, and you can pick up some nice dogs.
Yeah.
That,
Oh yeah, for
that
sure.
are
For
out
sure, a
there.
reputable pickup, but not. Yeah.
All right.
I'm about
So I
getting
just
past that house
realized
break.
that I borrowed it to someone. So if you're on this chat and you have my book, I want it back. But it is called Early Condition Learning by Dr. Joan Bailey. And it talks about things that you can do with a puppy in your house from the day you pick it up till it's 4 months old. And everything that you do with that puppy that she shows you to do in that book. And I bet Sandy's read that book. I know she has, because we've talked about this before. All of the stuff that you do is setting groundwork for training, right? We get a new puppy home and we want it to sleep in a crate, right? How many of us just put it in that crate or throw a treat in there and put it in that crate without saying kennel, kennel, kennel? All right. You want to say the command that you're going to use later on when you train it to kennel. So you get a puppy home and you want to put it in that crate. Yeah, you can use a treat, throw a treat in there, but say kennel, 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 right? You can say it as many times as you want because you're just setting the base for it. Same thing, like when you're feeding a puppy and it knows it's going to eat and it wants to come to you to get that food. Come. And then you could throw in the hand signal, right? Come, whatever you want to do. And then you put that food down. It's going to come to you every time because it wants to eat. That book talks about all of that stuff. Lori, it's called Early Condition Learning by Dr. Joan Bailey. And it's on Amazon. It's one of the top sellers. And it's a really great baseline book for anybody getting a puppy. And that's things that we don't think about because we're excited. We have a puppy and we want to do everything right, but we don't think about setting it up for future success. But you can give all those commands now, right? There's a lot of guys that I know that use Whoa, and they teach Whoa with the puppy from the day it comes home with the food dish. Put the food dish down, the puppy back, tell them Whoa, make him stand there, tell him whoa, tap him on the head, and he goes. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do like that with a puppy. That's not, and honestly, none of that stuff that you do this first 4 months in the house is going to ruin a puppy.
No.
Now, granted, if you overdo it, a friend of mine made a really good point on a video that I had made one time about teaching dogs place. It's okay to teach them obedience. And the dog was sitting, and then I give him a treat. Well, that's fine because I was teaching him place. But he made a really good point that that's okay if one person does it and you're only doing it intermittently. But every time, if everybody in the house has a handful of treats and every time that puppy sees them, they make them sit and they give them a treat, that dog's going to be prone to sitting later on because he thinks it's going to give him something, right? So you have to moderate and have a little bit of discretion when you do that. So in other words, have patience.
Right. One thing for sure that, I mean, if you travel at all with your dogs, teaching your dog to do their business, I just tell them get busy on command is worth its weight in gold. I mean, when I've traveled home out west in blizzards and, it's 5 degrees outside and snowing and blowing. And, if you got a dog that'll just dink around out there, I mean, I can let my dogs out, get busy. They go off the tailgate, they pee, and they're back in the truck within, 2 minutes. And that is a really important thing to teach dogs if you're traveling at all with them.
Right. Exactly. So we get through those first 4 months and the puppy likes us, and we've been taking walks and we've been working on the general obedience in the house, and hopefully if you have a park nearby, you get them out in the woods because that's important. That's what they're going to be hunting, and it doesn't have to be the grouse woods. Actually, I like to start puppies in a little bit more open, whether it's a red pine plantation or a little bit more mature forest that's a little bit more open, because they're not going to stick themselves on something or create a situation where they get stung by a hornet or some crap like that that's going to stick with them with their imprinting. And you're starting slow and you're building them up. But I think when you hit about that 4-month period, it's really important to get them out in the woods and start running on stuff. And yes, they're all going to eat deer shit. That's what puppies do. They're all going to sniff everything. And for a guy like me, like, it drives me nuts because I'm in the back of my head when that puppy's like only 10 feet away from me and it's eating deer poop and it's sniffing everything in the woods. I'm always like, that thing's a dud. Ain't got no run. Got no run, right? But then I tell myself, look, you've been doing this a long time. That's what puppies do. And that's the reason we get them in the woods early. I take it you probably do the same thing.
For sure. Like, we'll head up to we're going to your Bonanza there in August. And, I'm going to spend a week up in the UP chasing sharp tails and ruffs and woodcock. And that my wife's like, you can leave the puppy home? Like, hell no. She'll be 4 months old. I mean, some of those areas are, there's not a whole lot of growth. I mean, that's going to give her a great opportunity to learn how to ride the truck for long periods of time. B, she's going to be on a stakeout. She's going to learn how to be, just be part of the team and that stuff. And she's going to get out and she's going to go out and run and hopefully she'll bump into some sharp tails or some woodcock, I mean, and if she does, that's fine too, but, just giving those puppies opportunities to learn on their own is imperative.
That's extremely important. Let them roam, let them go do their thing. Don't overhandle them. I know a lot of people new to pointing dogs that when I do my one-on-one train the trainer thing where I have people come in with one-on-one so I can show them how to train their dog. The number one thing they're concerned with is being able to see their dog. And with a pointing dog, that's not an important thing. It may be important to that person because they may misunderstand what the general job of a pointing dog is to go out and run and seek game that you wouldn't normally find while you're walking. And it's important to go let them explore. In today's technology, right? I mean, you're a Garmin dealer, you have the stuff. Yeah, it costs a little bit of money, but that's a game changer, man. You can put a Garmin Astro or Alpha collar on a puppy and you have no worries. You know where it's at. It can go 100 yards. You're not going to freak out because you're not going to be going home and be like, oh, honey, I lost the puppy. I mean, we used to be like that in the olden days. I had lost dogs overnight and I had to give that explanation to my wife, which is never a fun thing to do. But luckily, we found the dog the next day. But now you have the game changer of being able to use those electronics and track those dogs and let them go explore everything.
Yeah. I just saw
Go ahead.
There's a question on there. When do you like to age, or what age do you like to introduce your pups to wing clip pigeons? And early. I mean,
Yeah.
but again, with the caveat, you got to be careful. You don't want that pigeon to get loose and smack its wings on the dog's face, and
Yeah. So that's a really good this is a really good opportunity to explain that a little bit. So puppies have two fear periods. The first fear period they have is generally right around the time when they leave their mother. If you get them at 7 weeks, they have a fear period. And then puppies have a secondary fear period that it kind of varies, but generally I know for sure with the dogs that I've been breeding, the ones coming out of my kennel, they have a secondary fear period that's anywhere around 12 to 16 weeks. Somewhere within that window, they have a secondary fear period. And you will be able to read your dog, right? So if you have your puppy and you think it's bold, and then it gets to be about 4 months old or something, and all of a sudden it sees a fire hydrant and it barks at it and it runs away from it or something, that's an indicator that that second fear period is going on. Generally, by the time you're at 16 weeks, you are out of that secondary fear period. And that's when I like to introduce the pigeons. And I don't do the clipped wing ones right away. It depends on each individual puppy. So generally what I do is I fold the wings and lock them. You just fold them twice, cross lock them, throw it down, and let the puppy do whatever it's going to do with that clip wing pigeon. If the puppy backs off from it and it shows me that generally it's not going to be very interested in it because of the heartbeat and it's still alive and stuff like that, then I'll throw a dead one for it. And when it plays with the dead one, then we go back to that. Once they'll pick up that one with the crossed wings, I'll take it from the puppy gently. I will unlock the wings. I will flap it in front of the dog and let it fly away and let the dog chase it. And if I do that a couple times and that dog is chasing really, really hard, then I'll go to, he talks about clip wings, but I actually use a tether, a garden hose tether, with some parachute cord. That way the bird, it's just like a carded pigeon. They fly like 30 yards. They get on the ground, they flap, and the dog goes, picks them up and carries them around with them. And really, once you get through that, you're through bird introduction. And I generally, like I said, I wait till after 16 weeks because of that secondary fear period.
Yep. One of the other things, I mean, most guys probably don't have them, but I've, heard from numerous dog trainers, be careful with the launchers with young
Yeah.
dogs. You get a dog that, comes, if you're using a launcher, it should be on a check cord, and where you can make sure that dog is well off the bird, because you don't want that launcher popping in their face.
Yep.
So that's another thing for guys that are new to the game. And again, most guys probably don't have that in their arsenal. I certainly don't. It's more money than I'm going to spend on that stuff.
But if you use them, and then there are pros that I've seen that I don't believe introduce launchers the right way. But then that's the good thing about us pros is we're all different and we all get the job done. I tend to take things a little bit more on the side of caution. And for you do-it-yourselfers out there, if you're going to use bird launchers with a dog, what I would recommend doing, and it's worked for me for 20 years, get that dog introduced to birds the way that we answered the question for Michael. And then when the dog is in his kennel outside, take the bird launcher while the dog's in his kennel, set it about 4 feet away from his kennel, flap the bird in front of the dog, have the dog watch you put it in the bird launcher, lock it, stand back 2 feet. And when that dog's looking at the bird launcher, launch it, pop it, let that bird fly out. 9 times out of 10, that dog will just follow the bird and watch it. And then he's generally made the association with the noise of that launcher flying that bird away. So for what it's worth, that's just a little training tip. But thank you for bringing that up, Brent, because that's very important. Launchers are accessible to everyone nowadays, and everybody thinks that's the way to train a bird dog, and it's not necessarily true. They're good in certain instances, but you do need to practice with them.
Yeah.
So we get that, we get out of that 16-week period and we've introduced it to birds. That's generally when I move on to gunfire. I'd like to hear a little bit about how your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I like to get dogs introduced to gunfire fairly early because it's just one of those things that something bad could happen if you don't do it. You're out on a trip and somebody you get a truck bird, that's you come back to the truck and there's a bird near the truck and they shoot and the puppy's in the back of the truck and and again, I think 90% of the dogs that you breed and I've bought, I don't think you can make them gun shy if you tried to.
No, but you made a good statement though. Make them gun shy. There's not a single dog that's born gun shy. They're made gun shy by stupid mistakes.
Right. And I know a lot of guys, and there's again 8 million ways to skin a cat on these deals. I was told a long time ago by an old time trainer to not use birds to introduce dogs to gunfire, because if God forbid they have some type of a negative reaction to it or to gunfire in a previous time that you weren't aware of, you can use birds later on to fire them up and to use that to cure them. So what I typically do is work with a friend or a kid and even pointers that pointer pup mine loves to retrieve stuff, believe it or not. I mean, so you get out there 100 yards and I start with the blank pistol and I'll have somebody throw something, and when the dog's in full chase, pow, you fire off the blank pistol and you see no reaction, you just keep moving it closer. This isn't done in a day. This is done over, a week, 2 weeks, a month. And if you see no reaction, you just keep moving it closer until you're right there. And then you do the same thing with, a 28 gauge or a 410, again, you're not shooting super magnums or anything like that over them. And then, you work your way up to a 12 or a 20 and then your dog is pretty well gun broke. Again, I still wouldn't go out the field, us 3 knuckleheads with a puppy with, with autoloaders with 5 shots in it and oh, there goes a rooster and there goes 15 shells in the air. I mean, that's again.
Yeah, I've personally fixed over 15 dogs since I've been a dog trainer from that very exact scenario. The dog was not gun shy. It was good. It was pointing birds. He went hunting with his friends. 3 or 4 guys in the woods, and in the woods is even worse because the dog can't see what the hell's going on because of the trees and everything else. And a bird goes up and bam, 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 bam. And next thing you know, that dog's running back to the truck. So that's a good point. Really good point. So we get them through birds and gunfire. Once we do that, I'll be honest with you, for me, I take them hunting that next hunting season, and I don't expect anything. I let them bump birds. I let them chase birds. If they flash point a bird, I'll shoot it. I'll kill one for them. It builds them up a little bit. But that first season is all about just having fun.
I'll even shoot bump birds over these young dogs. I know some guy, it'll teach them to flush birds.
Yeah.
I don't believe
they're bred to point, man.
Yeah.
They're bred to point. Them dogs love to point.
Yeah. Yep, I want them to be fired up about dead birds and let's face it, when we're out grouse hunting, I mean, you don't necessarily get, lots of opportunities at times. So if they bump one and I mean, hey, when they're 4 years old and they go in there and and again, there's a difference between a bumped bird and a ripped bird, I mean.
That's absolutely there is. And that's all about gaining experience and working with those dogs. Hell, the first pointing dog I had, I trained him to flush the birds because we had a great spot up here. It was thorn apple patches, man, that I couldn't get into, right? And that dog would go on point. So I'd be like, okay, flush them. And I taught the dog to flush them because I couldn't get into thorn apple patches. But I mean, it's all about having fun, right? And we learn from time to time over that you can be wound too tight and be too much of a perfectionist. And if you are, it's going to drive you nuts in the bird dog world, speaking from a guy firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, I'm far from perfect, far from perfect. And so I've expected less out of my dogs in their performance is the older I've gotten. And I think my dogs have gotten
Yeah,
better because of it too, because
absolutely. Because you've now employed some patience and you understand the journey and you manage your expectations.
yep. I mean, I'm still not opposed to calling them some nasty names when they do stupid stuff. I mean, my buddies can certainly attest to
What?
that.
What are we talking about?
Oh yeah.
I got a setter that ripped some sharp tails in front of my buddy Ryan one time, and he got it right on camera. And I called her some nasty ass names. And every once in a while, he just sends out a YouTube clip to us, and just reminding me of like, oh, thanks, Ryan, appreciate that.
So my Georgia dog has always been nicknamed Self, and she's a sweet dog. She was a great mother. She was a dam of two great litters. Super hunting dog. But man, there was one time I was hunting with Perry Masati, and it was a windy day, and Perry will remember this. Like, he probably still has PTSD from the things I said to that dog when we were on that hunt, right? You just get in one of those days where it's just like, yeah, I love these dogs. This is the greatest sport ever. And it's all about relaxation. And then you have that one hunt where you're just like, the vein on your forehead is just like ready to explode because it's like, what the hell is this dog doing? You know? And it always happens when you're hunting with other people, by the way.
Of course.
Always, but that's why we love it. And that's why we take our time with these puppies. And that was kind of like the whole purpose of just a general talk about puppy development tonight. Now, for the sake of time and moving on a little bit, I know we're having a great time here, but I know you have an event coming up that I'd like you to tell everybody about, because I think it's going to be a really great event for the upland community.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. I just kind of had an idea. I don't know, Dave and I were sitting around Memorial Day weekend, and we had a little sale at our shop, and we posted on Facebook and sent out and we had like 50 people show up on a Saturday at Memorial Day weekend. And and I enjoy my customers because they're me. I mean, they're people like us. And
Yes.
I'm like, and Dave and I just kind of brainstormed, said, what could we do? And I said, why don't we do like an upland kickoff event where we invite some other vendors. We got, again, Field Armor, Collar Clinic. Are you going to be able to make it down? Wild Card Outdoors is going to be there.
Yep.
My buddy Tim Zelinski's got a bow site called the ARD. It's an adjustable red dot, so people can go shoot bow and arrows. Pheasants Forever is going to be there. The Upland Conservancy is going to be there. Rough Grouse Society is going to be there. We don't have a real fancy shop or anything like that. We've got an old warehouse building that we develop our products in, and we're gonna have tents outside, and Joe Schwanke's gonna be there. I think Ron Bain's gonna be there. So we're gonna have just a bunch of guys. It's really just kind of a way to kick off the upland season, and we'll have some deals on some of our gear there, and for guys and gals that haven't a chance to try it on, they come try it on and touch it and feel it, and pick my brains on why we do things the way we do things, and so I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, it's like I said, I enjoy those events immensely, just because I mean, there are no greater outdoorsmen than bird hunters.
And I'm looking forward to it. And believe me, if I'm going below the bridge for anything other than wrestling, it's probably going to be pretty cool. Because I don't go below the bridge a lot unless I'm hauling kids to a wrestling tournament. So let's get the deets on it. What date?
Saturday, July 27th. It's at our shop on Van Wagner Road. I think it's 17. I don't even know the damn address of the place, to be honest with you.
We've posted an event. And then
It's
we'll
posted
put
on
more info
Facebook.
soon.
We'll send out emails to people. So if anybody hasn't signed up, go to info@pikegear.com and sign up go to our webpage and sign up for our e-blast, and you'll get information on events, sales, bird reports. We try not just to send out emails with, gear trying to shove stuff down people's throats. We try to send out some informative things to people
Yeah,
and all that good stuff. So, but no, I'm super excited about it. I mean, it's just a great way before the season really kind of starts to get people excited about the season and meet hopefully meet some new people, and maybe for some of these new people an opportunity to meet some older people that have or experienced people that might be able to take them out to a spot or two and show them something.
that's a great point, man, because that's what I was saying is I think the people that are new to this sport really they should go to that. And it's a no pressure event because we're not going to be running dogs and we're
Yeah.
not going to be judging dogs and they're not going to have a lot of pressure for them. And
Yep.
basically all of the people that are going to be there, excuse me, all the people that are going to be there are the more experienced people that will help you get into this sport so we can grow the sport.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I mean, you hear a lot of guys, there's too many bird hunters out there. I'm like, no, there's not enough habitat out there, is what
Oh yeah.
we've
I've
got too
been
many
guilty of
guys and
that
too
too,
few
right?
spots.
I live 2 miles away from the largest gems in the state. So believe me, if you guys have ever been on my Facebook page, you've seen me bitch about it from time to time when all the out of state plates show up. But then I circle myself back and like, no, this is good. This is good. This is growing the sport. That's what we need to do.
Right. Because I mean, let's face it, we all want to be successful when we do things, I mean, and success
Right.
does not mean 5 grouse and 3 woodcocks. Success means you go out, your dog points a few birds, hopefully you get a few shots and maybe you knock one down, and you have some good stories with your buddy or your wife or your girlfriend or your kids at the tailgate, and
Yep.
you go out and you support the local, bar and restaurant in Gwynn or Trout Lake or
Yeah.
wherever you're at, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, it doesn't matter. I mean, go patronize those little, I mean, that's the other stuff that will help us get more money into what we're looking to do when these restaurants and hotels see bird hunters there and spending money, they're going to be on our side when it comes to, dealing with the DNR and, and
They
getting
are.
done and all that other stuff. We need to educate those people.
Absolutely. From the small town of Gwynn where I live, I can tell you that the impact from the bird hunters means a lot to the local economy, especially that time of year. And especially when last year we didn't really have a winter in the UP. So that fall hunting was, it kept the bills paid for a lot of those folks. And in turn, what that does is because there's a lot of bird hunters coming here, BDM Gun Dogs, Mark Schlicht, he's one of my guides, and Chris Yeager, one of my guides. We are putting together our second annual Veterans Grouse Hunt this fall. And when we go around and ask locally for, hey, can you help us out with a hotel room, or, can you cater a meal, or can you help us out with this? They're like, absolutely. You're bringing bird hunters? Yeah, absolutely. Like they get it. It means a lot to these local economies.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's
Well, I'm looking forward to that event. Swanky just made me laugh. Beard oil sales surge every October. Yeah, along with the sale of Crocs, right?
I just bought some Grundens. Have you seen those?
Uh-uh.
It's a slip-on rubber boot. And they just showed up the other day and I tried them on. So for anybody that wants to buy them, look, they're by a size up. I usually wear an 11, so I bought an 11 and I put them on. I'm like, oh my God, these are the Thicket. They're just too small. It's a slip-on rubber boot. They're ankle high. And I tell
Uh-huh.
you what, as soon as I get back to the truck and I'm done hunting for the day, the first thing I do is put the dogs away, guns away, etc. Boots come off right after that. Before I even crack a beer, the boots come off and I put on a pair of
Right.
Crocs or tennis shoes. But these Grunden boots, I think, are going to be the Ticket because they're waterproof. So if you're out in the muddy areas and stuff like that, you can have your feet can stay dry. And I think these are I'm excited to try these things out and put them through the test. But they seem to be like they might be the ticket.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, and if I could, before we close, just put a couple plugs in for something that we're doing jointly with all of the partners that I mentioned at the beginning here, is that we have our second annual Bonanza this year in Gwin. And what that is a 2.5 day event that is basically grouse hunting school. We have some seminars. Last year, we had some really great seminars. Brent did a seminar on the traveling wing shooter and gear. Dave did one on outdoor photography. Heather Shaw from the Michigan DNR gave a presentation on the status of grouse and woodcock in Michigan, which I refer to those graphs she showed us about the decline in hunters and things like that a lot. We also had myself and Kyle Warren. We talked about genetics of dog breeding and things along those lines. And I believe we did one on woodcock banding. And Nicole from Nicole's Naturals Taxidermy did a demonstration on how to prepare your birds for the taxidermist, which is extremely important. It makes her life a lot easier, and it helps you get your bird back quicker. And, we had just a lot of great seminars. Then back at the kennel, we had some hands-on dog training. We had Jordan Horak from Cato Outdoors worked with the Flushing dogs. Myself and a few other folks worked with the pointing dogs. We did some hands-on stuff. Oh, how could I forget? Stephen Rodock did the habitat presentation in the classroom. And then that afternoon, we went out and actually visited some sites in the woods and gave people examples of what cover to start with, and then the alternate habitat you can hunt. We talked about edges. We talked about the type of food and cover and things like that. And people got the hands-on experience. And then the final day, which I really think is the best day of that, is where we have a handful of folks like yourself, some of my guides. We take people out in groups of twos with their dogs, and we go on a simulated grouse hunt because the season isn't open yet. But, there's something to be said, because we had a lot of new grouse hunters that attended that last year, and they really appreciated being able to go on a simulated grouse hunt with an experienced person kind of mentoring them and tutoring them through that. So we have that coming up. There still are some spots available. That is August 10th, 11th, and 12th, I believe. It starts on a Friday afternoon, and then it runs all day Saturday and most of the day on Sunday. That's here at Aspen Thicket Grouse Dogs in Gwin. And we also, the big thing is, before we have the Friday bonfire, and we have one on Saturday too, for those that are still alive that can hack it. We have the Michigan Upland Experience. So we have Joe Swanky and David Weaver that cook for us at that event. And man, those dudes are lights out. I can't thank them enough for coming out here and cook. I mean, they cook meals that they auction those meals off, right? The field lunch or whatever, they auction it off, and they make thousands of dollars on that, and they come here and do it for our event. So that's a really cool thing that we have going on. So if anybody's interested in that, you can go to our website, which is aspenthicketgrousedogs.com, and you can get tickets on it for that. Do act fast, though. We do limit that to the number of people with dogs, just because of the capacity that we have here. Actually, we were trying to get it downstate in the Gaylord area, but we just couldn't come up with a place that has everything that we have to offer right here to be able to do that. But it is our plan, amongst Brent and myself and the others involved, that we would like to grow that event to eventually end up in Wisconsin, downstate Michigan, and even over to Minnesota, to the lake states, and kind of treat it like a grouse fest, very similar to Pheasant Fest, because we don't have one. We don't have one for grouse hunters. And we think it's important to kind of do that, to have those seminars. And I think when you have those kind of things, that's going to bring more people into the small game hunting and the grouse hunting. I have a lot of people that come to me that want to do the one-on-one grouse clinics, and we do those up here as well. But I think there's something to be said to coming to a group event like that and looking around and saying, hey, I'm not the only new one in this sport, or these people are just like me. I really enjoy this. These are some really cool people. And then you make friends. And then the next thing you know, somebody's taking you hunting wherever you're from, somebody's close to you, or you're sharing rides, or you're training dogs together. And that's really what we want it to be about. And I think people will agree. Last year, I don't know, Brent, we had a pretty good damn time, eh?
It was a great time. I mean, again, and there were guys that have been grouse hunting for 20 years, and there were guys and gals that have been grouse hunting for their first time. And I think everybody learned something there. And again, it's much like our upland kickoff event. It's a fun event to meet people. And if you don't learn anything, it's because you're an unteachable person. Because
that's right.
I mean, between yourself and Steve Rodak and Jordan Horak and all the other guys, Mark Schlicht. I mean, there's a wealth of knowledge there. And you might be one of the great grouse hunters in the state, and I guarantee you will go there and you will learn something. Guaranteed.
Absolutely. We all learn something there from each other. And the thing is, like, we just don't have a lot of opportunities per se to get together like that. So your upland kickoff event is going to be very similar, where you can get to those people that you normally think you don't have access to for whatever reason. I mean, myself, my phone number is on my website. If you have a question, text me or call me. I'll answer it. I won't be a dick. I mean, and Brent, I know you're the same way. And that we just want to let people know that we're approachable, and those group settings really help a lot of people understand that.
For sure. And it's just fun. I mean, it really is. I mean, it was just, like you said, I mean, Joe and Dave and I'm not saying this to kiss their rear ends. Those guys are unbelievable cooks. I mean, if you will go, the price of admission is worth it for the dinner alone. I mean, it really is. I mean, they did strip steaks last year with chimichurri sauce. I mean, my mouth is watering just thinking about how good that was last year. And like you said, the campfire at night, you can camp on your place. There's a campground in town. There's, the hotel there in Gwynn. I'm bringing up my camper this year. I'm going to put that out back. I'll have a bunch of clothes for people to try on and some deals for people who want to get any stuff, so, it's just a fun time.
And we need more women in the sport too. So last year, I think we had 3. I want to break that barrier. I want to have at least 5 this year. Cause they are, this is one thing I learned. So for those who don't know, I'm a high school wrestling coach and been around wrestling a lot. My kids wrestle, and I'm here to tell you, once the girls started wrestling, the participation number from the boys doubled as well. And that's the thing, is we need more women in the sport, because once women do it, women will force their husbands to do this shit. Right? And it becomes a family thing. And we need more people to understand that, yes, we there's no glass ceiling in this sport. Break it, fly right through it.
Well, women are way better learners than men are. I mean, they're not afraid to read instructions and watch videos and ask questions. We're so stupid that we just, we know what we're doing. I don't need no damn instructions.
So speaking of questions, there was one question by the Wandering Amputee a ways back, because I want people to know that if they ask a question on here, we're going to answer it. And it was, hello, can you have too much prey drive in an upland dog? My answer is going to be, that depends. It depends. It depends on what you're defining as prey drive. If it's true prey drive, I agree with Brent. Absolutely not. I want that dog to just every fiber of its being to be driven for prey. If it's driven for prey in the right way, right? If it's driven for prey that every time you go hunting, it jumps deer and breaks their neck and drags it back to you, then you might have an issue. But if it's directed in the proper way, that's exactly the dog I want, man. And it goes back to what my mentor told me a long time ago. You can take it out of them, but you can't put it in them if they don't have it.
That's a fact.
So, all right. Well, we're wrapping it up tonight. Brent, I'd like to thank you for your time. To all the people that were participating, I'd like to apologize for my mess up on that YouTube channel. I realize what it is now, and that the next one we do, we will not have that issue. I realize that I need to use a third-party streaming service and then link that to my YouTube channel to be able to do that. And that's where I messed up on. So having Dave, thank you for saving the day. And I also learned by what you were doing there how I need to do that next time. So we'll do that. And next time we are going to have some folks from the Upland Habitat Conservancy will be on. And then I also twisted Stephen Rodock's arm to come talk about flushing dogs and habitat. And we might even have Jordan from Cato Outdoors. If he was telling me that his signal is a little bad out where he's at, even though he's really close to Green Bay. But he's interested in doing it as well.
Tell him to get a
Probably
Starlink.
have, what's that?
Tell him to get a Starlink.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But we're gonna have more of these. And again, if you thought this was worthwhile, please invite your friends to the next one. And especially if you have new hunters, we will ask questions. Matter of fact, I think probably one of the ones we're going to do in the near future is how to act as a mentor. And when we talk with the Upland Habitat Conservancy, we know that we have Travis Powers is dealing with that. And I know Travis is really, really good about helping people enter into the sport. So he would have some stuff to talk about like that. But this is going to be the conversation that we do. And hopefully you enjoy it. And hopefully you're still listening to get out there and help some of our partners, Pyke Gear and Field Armor and Collar Clinic and Cato Outdoors, Michigan Upland Experience, Second Chance Bird Dogs, the Conservancy, Nicola's Naturals, Lazy 8 Outfitters, BDM Gun Dogs, and the Bird Camp Podcast with Swanky. Those are all good partners where you're going to learn a lot of stuff. And every single one of these people that I've listed as partners are good friends of mine. They're all dog people and they're all bird people. Brent is a great guy. They're all great guys and gals. They not only will they sell you something, that's not the relationship that they want to have with you. And that's not the relationship that I want to have with you. We're all about building relationships to grow this sport. And I think that's really, really important to remember. It's one thing. Yeah, I might make some money dog training, and Brent, obviously these guys make a little money selling a product or stuff, but that product isn't worth a shit unless we're good people and grow the sport and interact with you and help you guys out. So that's what we like to do. So with that, Brent, you got any closing words?
No, thanks for hosting this. Like I said, I mean, it's early July. I mean, I'm starting to think about bird hunting a little bit, but it's always fun to get online and chat with fellow bird hunters and see a lot of our, friends and such that are, commenting on the chat. I mean, it's great to see a very interactive group of people that are in on the chats. And I think a lot of people are going to be at the Upland kickoff event. So looking forward to seeing a lot of you guys. And boy, it's 2.5 weeks away. It'll be here soon, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And probably afterwards, we'll probably go out someplace and go have a burger and a beer or something like that. So if you guys are coming from out of town, find a hotel and crash for the night, and we'll make a day of it. So it'll be fun.
Right. Well, thanks a lot, Brent. I got one more question. Brian Lick, how do you like that Maverick dog? That's a dog I'm training that actually comes from, I think it's Top Field Short Hairs in Wisconsin. Brian, I like him a lot. He's a very nice dog. He's about a year old and he's got a lot of natural abilities. So you can always contact me via my phone number or text me, and I'd be glad to talk about that more. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Brent, I appreciate you, brother. And Dave, I appreciate you even more, man, for saving the night. So thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye.